see for the future of 3D printing?
I think the future of 3D printing is as complex as the machines seem now and expensive as they are now. I want you to think of the fact that when we looked at CD-ROM drives on computers or CD-ROM burners, when they first came out, they were $2,500, $3,000. But now we can all order them for about $20 shipped off of Amazon or whatever. So I feel that's definitely where 3D printing is going to go. It's too awesome of a technology not to go mainstream. And whenever things go mainstream, the market will respond with lower, cheaper, lower costs, and make the technology accessible for everybody. And it's pretty typical of all technologies. So I think it's such a popular thing, it's going to go mainstream and become extremely affordable.
In what ways do you think 3D printing affects our society, positive and negative?
I think I'm pro 3D printing and pro technological change. I think that certainly the positives it's really simple, is that everybody has the means for production now. Meaning that things were unthinkable that would cost a ridiculous amount of resources and time to make a simple plastic part. It's now very, very easy, relatively speaking, compared to the production process for things like injection molding and the turnaround time on that. It's so easy now for everybody to be able to produce that I think the effects are only positive. Let's face it, everyone, you can produce anything you want with injection molding right now without 3D printers as we speak, and it's been like that for many, many years. The only difference now is that everyone has that power, or everyone has at least a chance to have that power, and hopefully in the future even more people will have that and get their hands on that.
What programs do you use to 3D model?
The programs I use to 3D model, first of all, OpenSCAD is probably my favorite at the moment. It's open source, it's all code based, and it's parametric, which means that you can adjust anything you want using variables that you define in the program, and then dynamically render parts based off those parameters that you type in. It's very mathematical. But definitely not what I'd recommend for beginners. Another one I love that's great for beginners, I wouldn't even call a program, it's just simply a web page, is tinkercad.com. I recommend that one highly. I still use that for a great number of things. It's very easy. Everything's done on the cloud, and you can download the STLs for 3D printing and also for schematics for Minecraft if you're into that sort of thing too. So it's a really cool program. So I'd say those two. SketchUp has its uses, although it's a surface modeler and its solid tools are flawed. So.
What got you interested in 3D printing?
What got me interested in 3D printing is the idea of what I explained earlier, and I thought it so exciting that I could make plastic parts, that I could make custom designed plastic parts, and within the day have those plastic parts in my hand. That blew my mind. And if you think about something like that and you can't imagine an application for it, then you need to get some hobbies or something, because it's an amazing technology, and that blew my mind. And then I saw the 3D printer class that the Makerspace offered about probably a little over a year ago, and then on spring break of last year, 2014, I purchased the class, and that's how I got into it. I made my own 3D printer.
There have been cases of products with a patent being recreated and printed. How would you recommend preventing that?
I don't recommend preventing it. I believe that the benefits and motivations gained from intellectual property rights laws are easily outweighed by people being able to modify and change those things and customize it. I think that the society benefits much greater from that rather than protection, like overzealous protection of intellectual property laws. So while I understand that we do have to obey those laws, because those are the laws of the lands now, I don't support any further expounding on that.
If you had to explain 3D printing to someone with no knowledge of it, how would you?
All right, well, so this is actually, so you can see right here, this is actually drawing the first layer. So it's essential that, like, what happens with 3D printing, the best way I can explain it is, most everybody's used a hot glue gun. And a hot glue gun, just like this, it has a a piece of filament, which is that glue stick that we force into it. Now this extrudes a little differently, but you squeeze the trigger and it goes down and it's forced through a very, very hot nozzle, and out comes this molten glue, that has changed form from a solid into a plastic, and then it solidifies and cools once we have it on the object. Well, imagine if you could take a hot glue gun and draw a circle and then fill it in solid, and then let it cool. And then you'd take another a hot glue gun on top of that. You could stack another circle on top of that. And if you kept stacking those circles again and again, you would have a solid cylinder. Now it would look really ugly if humans controlled it. That's why we have stepper motors and the microcontrollers and the Arduinos that do all of that for us on 3D printers. But essentially that's all it does. It just draws layers of plastic and stacks successive layers on top of each other, at least for the fused filament type printers like we use.
Out of the things I've designed and printed, what was the most complicated?
Can you say that again? I'm sorry.
If you had, like, when did you start modeling? Out of the things you've designed and printed, what was the most complicated?
You know, I think out of all the things I've designed and printed, as far as design work, definitely parts for, you know, like extruders and pulleys. You can make, with some printers, if you print them really slow and accurately, you can make pulleys and that would work with belt drive systems. So I made some things like that. Probably the most complicated thing I printed but I didn't design was a model rocket. You know, it's got off of Thingiverse, and it's a modular model rocket when you put the pieces together. And you can put in an SD's, I think a D engine in it, and actually launch it. So that's probably the most complicated thing I've printed, I'd say.